Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast.
Hello, hello.
I'm Travis.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this is the podcast where we show that the honeymoon stage can last forever.
Forever and ever.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
What's going on?
Nothing. I keep looking over here because I look good today. I don't know about y'all, but...
You look good every day.
I know, but I feel like extra cute today.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to do a quick little beat. I'm not going to spend too much time on my makeup because...
And you spent about 45 minutes.
I spent like 45 minutes. I caked it on and I look cute as fuck. But yeah, so we have a long day today. We're recording really early on Saturday, which we don't usually do.
It's sunny out. You can see the clouds.
Yeah. We're going apple pumpkin picking, doing, basic bitch fall activities today.
We got a pumpkin coffee.
I'm gonna get anything pumpkin that I find. I also don't discriminate against apple cider flavored things, so it shall be a day to indulge.
Okay. Basic bitch Saturday.
Yes, pumpkin hole Saturdays. How was your week?
It was a cool week. Nothing to report. Nothing crazy happened. Starting to feel better. I'm like at the tail end of the cold.
Okay.
Still, I have a year-round runny nose, but the runny nose is a little more than usual.
I've been telling Travis he should see an allergist about his year-round runny nose, but...
You said you like it for the extra moisture.
Oh my God. But, maybe in year 10 of our marriage, he'll start listening to me.
Yeah. Or maybe you just bring the allergist here and put him at my computer desk like you did the recycling.
So, yeah, I might have to do that because I was telling him to see a dermatologist for years. He finally saw one because I booked the appointment.
And it was virtual.
And it
Let's be honest.
But it was worth it.
It was. I was a little skeptical in the beginning.
Literally the problem he has had since we met is finally gone because I made the dermatologist appointment.
Yeah, I've had that shit forever.
And you've had it way before we even met.
I'll tell the people. I had like this random fungus on my back. It would come and go.
It looks like sunspots.
But mine were like dark, or is that how sunspots look? Mm-hmm. So they would show up on my neck, on my back, and they would come and go. And it's just like one of those things that is like, whatever, this is happening. And
your mom would say, it's the moisture. And I used to be like, dry your fucking back, bro.
It turns out it wasn't the moisture. But finally saw a dermatologist during quarantine. And we tried a few things. It didn't work. And then once things started to open up, I actually went into the office. They took a biopsy of like one of the little spots. I have like a nice little scar on my back. And he prescribed some drugs and... It's gone, and it hasn't come back, knock on wood. So, listen to your wives.
Oh, and also, I'm going to put you on the spot, babe.
What's up?
He has been using the same glasses, the same prescription on his contacts before we met. So we are going on 7 years of since we've been together.
Okay.
And he has not gotten his eyes checked. So
there's going to be someone in the comments, check your eyes.
Yes, no, please. Someone harass him because... He needs to take care of that.
I can see your beauty. That's all I need to.
Yeah, and then when we're like 60 and you can't see shit, I'm going to be tight.
You could sneak your boyfriend in.
Damn, your hearing ain't going to be gone. But, yeah. You ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we have to talk about one of our topics from last week again. We absolutely have to talk about it. Social media official, aka posting your significant other on the gram, on Facebook, on your socials. And I think this is probably one of those weeks where we got so much engagement post episode, in terms of people messaging us, sending us their personal stories, and we got to talk about it.
Yeah. I feel like I ate a nice slice of humble pie. Because, if for those of you who listened to the last episode, I was talking some hot shit, like this is the way it should be. And after, engaging with a few of you and hearing some stories, I'm just like, maybe
there are nuances.
What's the word of the day, kids?
So It was very 50-50 though. So I put a poll on my personal page. I have something in my eye, of course. Perfect timing. But I put a poll on my personal page and I put a poll on our podcast page. And both times it was pretty straight down the middle with, do you care if your partner posts you on social media? Like, do you expect your partner to post you on social media or you don't care? And it was always 50-50 down the line. So it's one of those topics that like you're either on one side or the other.
I also be curious to see for the people who said I don't care if their partner does it already. Because it's easy to say, I don't care. And their partner is every other picture is them. You know?
I should have had like a follow-up poll.
Yeah.
Misha does this. She'll ask a question and then ask a follow-up question. I should have did that. But, okay. So it was very down the line. But I want to get into some of the reasons people gave that kind of like, is like, you know what? That makes sense. But then there were some that I'm like, no, I don't agree with that. Do you have any that come to mind or you want me to start?
You can start.
All right. So the one that I really wanted to talk about is a lot of people were saying social media couples, like most of the time, they aren't even that happy. That's so fake. Like, nobody's goals. They post these cute captions and behind closed doors, they're probably doing XYZ. I think that that's a very pessimistic and narrow view of relationships. Does that happen? Yes. Does it happen more often than we would like it to? Probably. But I'm willing to bet that if we actually took the time to survey these quote unquote Instagram couples, most of them are actually happy.
Yeah.
Does that mean they never ever fight? No, that's not what happiness is or success is in a relationship. They post the highlights. They're not going to post like when their husband didn't take the trash and they take the trash out and they had a big fight about it.
Unless they're Stephanie.
Yeah. And I put it on Instagram. And I put all the recycling at his desk. They're not going to post small financial issues or like disagreements or every time they have a disagreement about what their child is supposed to do or not do.
I think that's the takeaway from what, I was talking some shit last week. But one of the takeaways is, yes, it's a highlight. Mm-hmm. So although there are people who will pick up the camera when they're crying in the mirror.
Most people don't do
most
that.
Most people don't. And it just goes to show nothing's perfect. Nothing.
No.
We have our shit. Mm-hmm. Right before we clicked record on this, you brought something to my attention that I'm like, fuck. We got to address that. Mm-hmm. So it's not perfect.
But that doesn't mean that people aren't happy.
Exactly.
Perfection does not mean happiness. And I feel like when we're constantly seeing happy couples and being like, oh, they probably fight all the time or they're not as happy as they seem. Like, it's so negative and corny. Like, let people live their lives without you judging it. Now, if you know something about a couple and you're on there like, ugh, that's different. Talk that shit in your group chat with your friends, with your partner. But don't apply it to everybody and everything. And on the same track of like negativity in a sense, I was getting a lot of people saying they were protecting their relationship from the negativity of Instagram, right? Like, oh, if I post my partner, we're going to be the topic of conversation in someone's group chat. Or there are a lot of people who kind of want what you have. Or I even heard like, oh, no one even was sliding in my man's DMs until he posted me. And that reminded, like, when Travis and I got married and he started wearing a ring, he even noticed, right?
This shit is powerful, bro. If you're single, just get a wedding ring and you'll attract some.
Yeah, so you get more attention when you're off the market. And that's unfortunate. It happens. But then it's like, so what are you saying? Like, you don't trust your partner to be able to turn down these advances? Yeah. And we are giving the public too much power, right? Like if we feel like their negativity and their hate towards you, that they're not even going to tell you to your face. Yes, they're going to tell their group chat. They're going to talk shit. They're going to be a hater. What do you think that's going to do to your relationship?
Yeah. I feel like if it's not being said to your face, who gives a fuck?
And there are people who believe in like energies. Like, for example, like I know Latinos, Latinas, we believe in mal de ojo. Like if people kind of have negative energy towards you and it could like cause something bad to happen to you.
Like if someone goes, oh, you're so beautiful and touches your face.
And touch your face. You're like, oh, fuck, why she touched my face? God bless my face. And I get all of that. But I also believe in the opposite version of that. And I do think that most people want what's best for you. And I feel like your own energy towards your relationship is going to trump that negativity, right? And if you're already saying, I don't want to post because of negative shit, you yourself are doing what you don't want people to project onto you. You're projecting it yourself. Yeah. So if you really truly believe in this energy, this negative energy that can impact your life, your relationships, don't be the fucking person that's projecting the negative energy onto your own relationship and onto your own life.
And this isn't us trying to like say you need to post your relationship on social media. But what I will say is social media is a force that we can't deny.
That's another thing.
It's here. It's here to stay. You know, some people were early adopters of it, myself included. I've been on since before MySpace type days. Like I'm talking, you know, being on like Black Planet, Skonex, all these different websites, and it's here to stay. Now it's just a part. It's ingrained in our culture, in our DNA. It's only going to get worse or better depending on how you view it.
Yeah, that was another thing. A lot of people were like, social media is not real life, and I know it's not real life because anybody could be whoever they want on there.
Yeah,
this is where we get catfish. Like anyone could like make it seem however they want, right? But it is a big part of our life and we can't downplay it just because we want to, because it's convenient to us. And I feel like a lot of times people start dating and there'll be one partner who says, oh, social media is mad corny, mad fake. I don't like to be, like all that posting shit is stupid. And the other person was like, yeah, just to like not be rejected. Yeah. But it's actually really important to them. And then that leads to problems down the line. So I feel like those conversations are one of those things we have to start talking about up front, just like kids and marriage and finances, like.
And vaccination status.
Now we have to talk about social media and our relationship to social media.
Yeah.
As much as we think it's doesn't matter, it's stupid, it matters. You know, like I remember we used to talk before, like my last few jobs have been through connections I had through Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, people I might have known through high school, but had it not been from an app, we wouldn't have been able to keep in touch. So how could I say Facebook, Instagram is stupid? It doesn't matter.
Even your tutoring business, it's thriving because of social media.
Because of social media. All of my clients are people that I probably didn't know.
Yeah.
I have a couple that were like high school friends but even that, had I not had social media, I would not have kept in touch with these people.
And I feel like even social media helps us maintain our friendships. There's people we don't speak to every day, but we might be reacting or, you know, when they let us in at a peak of their lives with pictures or stories, you know, we're interacting. You probably even more so than me. You're, you know, talking to people throughout the day, people you would never even think about talking to on a regular basis. And it's creating these bonds. Whether I seen a meme once where it's just like, you know, shout out to you 100 people who I've never met, but we've been through all these ups and downs throughout my life, and it's real shit.
And on the flip side of that, it also shows you what type of people you kind of don't want to keep in contact with. Like, let's say you hadn't seen someone in 10 years and you just bump into them in the street. They're probably totally different people. And through social media, you could start filtering people out. Like, oh, Trump supporter, bye. I'm never going to hang out with you. You know, like things like that. So there's the flip of a coin to that. Maintaining friendships and getting rid of ones that no longer serve you. Another thing a lot of people said, which I agree with, not that it stops me from posting, but that I understand that fear. The fear of looking stupid. Posting your significant other and like, you know, having that Instagram couple, but then your man is cheating on you the whole time. Or, you know, like just looking dumb.
So the fear is that you post and then someone's just like, yeah, right, I know where he was at last night. Gotcha. And like you kind of look like an idiot. And I get that because I feel like that's one of my biggest fears. And you know, just I hate looking stupid. I don't like that shit. I've had experiences, I'm talking about even way back in high school, like girls who were like sleeping with my high school sweetheart will be in my face. And this is before social media was big, but just the fact that they knew that was my partner and like I would look dumb and I feel like looking stupid was even bigger than the heartbreak itself. Gotcha.
Because you feel like now you can't trust yourself or your instincts and like, I don't know. So I get that. But I also feel like it shouldn't limit you living in the moment.
Yeah, it's also taking that leap, right? I would never, or we would never tell anyone to just blindly leap into something, you know? But you can put your big toe in, not show their foot. But I mean, like, you know, post a picture, see, you know, play the water, see, you know, you'll probably get a lot of love, or maybe, yeah, that picture might make its rounds through someone's group chat, but whatever. And then you see, you know, eventually people will move on to the next thing, and then you try again, and you try again, and before you know it, people are just like, you know what, that's her person, and we got to accept that.
Yeah, and it also goes back to not projecting negativity into your own life and your own relationship. If you're constantly worried, like, oh, he or she might cheat, and I might look stupid later, you're bringing it to yourself in a way if you believe in those kind of energies.
Yeah, I believe in energy.
Yeah. Another specific situation that really was like, oh shit, like this must be heavy for people. And it is that extra reminder that everyone's experience changes or shifts their perception in a way that we have to accept. We watched the Dave Chappelle and he talked about I'm living a human experience. So even when we disagree with people and like, or we might not agree with what they're doing, their movement, we have to understand that they are making those choices based on their human experience, right? What they've gone through in life. So this one scenario that came up, and then I sat back and thought about it. We know several people who have tragically lost their significant others.
This one hurt me.
Right? So, you know, people that either their boyfriends, girlfriends, fiancés, husbands, wives have passed, like have died, right? That's a situation where we could, is it sympathize? I don't know. Like we feel bad for the person, but we don't know what it's like.
Yeah, we can't relate.
We can't put ourselves in their shoes. But I can only imagine now you have this timeline of your partner, this highlight reel that just suddenly stops. Then it's like, how much time should pass before it's okay for you to start dating someone else? And we're early 30s. I'm 31, you're 33. So we're talking about people we know who are young, who are going to love other people and live full lives beyond this loss. But now they have to go through the grief and the moving on process in front of hundreds of people. Because even if you're not Instagram popular or whatever, just from like your relationships through school and work, you have a couple hundred people that are like watching you. And that shit is tough.
So hearing that could be a reason for some people to not post their partner, it's like, damn, that was like the wake up call. Like, all right, Travis, there's not one set way to do this. There's not one way to do social media when you're in a relationship. It's hard to put a time on when you should start dating. I couldn't even imagine what type of time frame you would put on yourself to start showing that new partner.
Yeah, because, and then you got to think it's going to impact your late partner's family, friends, other people who like really loved your late partner, and then you're worried about their feelings. And then it's also like you probably have a little bit of trauma around sharing your happiness, and then it could all be taken from you at a moment's notice, right? And that's a human experience that each individual has to like deal with in their own way, in their own time. And like, who the fuck are we to be like, well, they must not really love each other because they're not posting it. You know, every situation is different.
Yeah. You have my word, people. That I'm doing. You know, I'm open to growing. I'm open to new ways of thinking. So
I don't think you said anything wrong.
I just felt like the way I came across was just like, this is how you do it. If you're not showing the highlights of your life, what the fuck are you doing? And I don't want that to be my messaging.
But we also have to realize, babe, we are two individuals on a planet with billions of people. There's no way that anything we say is going to apply to everyone. It's just not going to happen. And I feel like as listeners, people also have to understand that like we're speaking from our experience, right? So in our situation, there's no reason for us not to post each other. We both actively use social media. None of us have this past trauma of like looking stupid on Instagram, or maybe. But you know, like for us, it's just what we do. But that's not the case for other people, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing is that we acknowledge that different experiences exist and one way is not right.
Yeah. Different strokes for different folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to say was there are people who still get manipulated by it. I did talk about that last episode. So just be careful. Like there's people who drill into their partner. Social media is stupid. Social media is dumb. It's not important. That's not real life. All the negative shit. But it's just so they could do what they want to do on the side without the worry of them being posted online.
Yeah, there's always that potential for manipulation.
Yeah.
Just stay woke.
Yeah. Yeah. So be careful. You ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the rest of this episode is going to be an Also Y'all Can Relate segment.
Where's my tea?
And this one is special because, you know, we're going to be fully transparent. So you all know whenever we get a Also Y'all Can Relate, someone submits like in writing their scenario and we read it word for word and we just kind of give our commentary. So this time the listener wanted to share their story, but they were like uncomfortable with typing it out and felt like it was kind of long. And they honestly felt like they wanted to have a talk with us. And we were like, of course, let's do it. Let's talk. So that's what we did. So since that's the way the story was given to us, it's not a typed message, I was taking notes and I basically put it together and I'm telling the story as it was told to us. But of course, it's more condensed. It's still a interest. You'll see this. You'll listen. But I didn't want to say like this was the submission. It was actually a talk that we had with someone. And I basically was their scribe. And I wrote it out for them as if they submitted it like a letter. We wanted to be honest. So if you're a listener and you've always wanted to share your story with us, but you have that same, like, I don't know how to write it out. I can't say it in a way that, you know, the way Stephanie reads them. I don't know if I could write it that way. And you want to talk with us, we're 100% open to that. It was an amazing experience. even just connecting with a listener on a more personal level was just something that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think we spent like over an hour
on
talking
the phone,
on video chat. And we kind of just lost track of time. It was, therapeutic on both
ends.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and
I
wouldn't mind doing it some more.
Yeah, it was really nice,
and it was just, and I don't want it to come across like we're giving advice. I mean, we're gonna say how we feel about the situation now, but in the moment we were just listening, maybe asking follow-up questions to maybe things they
clarified,
they may have glossed over, and it was just a fun experience. And the person said that they felt like they got a weight off of them.
A sense of relief, like finally talking about the situation. But let's get into it because it's really good. All right. So I titled this story, "When COVID Reignites a Flame That Should Have Been Kept Out." I hope the submission isn't too long, but I really am going to try to just explain the important parts. Let's take it back to 1995. My first love, Veronica, and I shared Play-Doh in kindergarten. Fast forward to 6th grade prom. She's my date. I wear a white top hat and a silk baby blue shirt.
I see it.
I see the vision. I don't know if it's fair to say she was my first love, because do kids at such a young age actually experience romantic love? We did not attend middle school or high school together. She actually moved to Georgia at 15. We ironically had similar dating paths. We both dated our high school sweethearts between the ages of 16 and 21. Those ended. Then we both got into other relationships that both lasted about 4 years. Things didn't seem like they would ever align for us. This is mad cute. It's like I wrote it down, but reading it again is like I'm literally visualizing it, and it's crazy. 3 years ago, I moved to Seattle. I had saved up a bunch of money and I was working for a tech company. So when Veronica and I both finally were single, I tried to fly her out. She agrees and we're excited about linking up. We set up a time to plan this trip. The day we were supposed to plan the trip, suddenly a family emergency came up.
Cap.
C-A-P spells cap. For a long time, I thought that was a lie. So time passes and we never planned the trip. Fast forward to March 2020. I have a 2-month Euro trip planned. Worst timing ever.
Oh, what's the date again?
March 2020.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's like when shit was about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
Right when COVID was about to impact us all here in the US, this was a trip I planned to mark the end of my time in Seattle and my return to New Jersey. I'm in Europe for a few days, and then the announcement is made that all visitors must leave that day or be stuck in quarantine lockdown. The day I get back to New Jersey, I instantly feel sick. Sure enough, I have COVID. Veronica checks on me daily, and I start to once again have hope for us. We started talking for a few weeks. I get furloughed from my job because of COVID. Everything is shut down. So I think to myself, why don't I rent an Airbnb down in Georgia for a couple of months? Veronica lives 2 hours away from where my mom lives now. So I figured I can be closer to my mom during the pandemic and closer to Veronica to see if this develops. I took the leap, rent a house for 2 months, finally arranged plans to meet with Veronica, and it was everything I expected and more. I fell head over heels. We're vibing, have similar interests, same taste in music. It was just everything that I was hoping for. Would you have done that?
No, but no, I don't know. It wasn't like permanent. So yeah, I guess I would.
And I feel like the fact that his mom was there,
I was gonna say that, yeah,
and was furloughed from work. It's like,
it was a perfect storm.
Yeah, like worst case scenario, Veronica and him don't work out. He's there closer to his mom.
Yeah.
Like, Why not? And Travis is talking shit, but you would have moved down to Georgia for me.
Yeah, I like we always say, I gotta try and remove myself. Like, would you do that? Like, no, I'm married. What are you talking about?
But if this is how our love story started, you would have been like, I'm out.
Yeah,
it's like you did. You come into the Bronx.
You know, so
everybody's still giving you shit about living in the Bronx.
Came to a third world country.
Oh, God.
BX.
Yeah. So over the course of a few weeks, we reach a point where she asked me to spend the night at her place. When we finally had sex, it was phenomenal. Not to sound like I'm showing off, but our connection was so strong that she orgasmed 5 times.
Okay.
I was like, babe, he's trying to...
he's trying to let you know.
He's trying to let you know. You better make Stephanie orgasm 5 times. But not... Honestly, though, that's too much for me. I feel like my orgasms take like a lot of energy from me. Like, I feel like sometimes I'm like I could barely talk. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm like, all right.
She's like a guy in the sense that, you know, for the most part, when we orgasm, we're just like, oh, I'm tapping out. You know, and Steph is very similar.
I'm similar.
Her dick gets soft.
You know, I'm multiple once in a blue on special occasions. It was more confirmation that she was the one. But I would admit, I did find it strange she did not go down on me. Is that do you expect head?
I enjoy fellatio, but I don't think it's a deal breaker for me. But I do think if the person or if you said I don't do it, I'd be like,
yeah,
you ain't gonna get this ring.
I also feel like he said it was so phenomenal. And like she orgasmed 5 times. So it was probably one of those sexual experiences where you kind of want to try anything. You're like, yeah, put it in my ass. No. But so then for it to be such a good sexual experience and for that part to be missing was probably weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised she just didn't want to. Like, she didn't go down there and be like, oh, I'm so into this moment that I want to, like, you know, suck your penis. My time at the Airbnb is coming to an end. I came back to New Jersey and she asked me to come back and stay with her. She suggested I pack enough to stay for at least a month. That took me by surprise, but also showed me that this could be something serious. At this point, my company is ready to have me back. I turned down the job to take a chance with Veronica down in Florida. It was the right move. Before the month was up, Veronica asked me to stay with her and officially move to to Georgia. Summer of 2020 was pure bliss with her. She meets my family. They get along so well to the point that when my brother was contemplating relocating his family to Georgia as well, she offered for my brother and his family to stay at her house. Of course, this was like a little nerve-wracking for me. My brother and I were both hesitant, but we took the chance anyway. And it turned out to be a very pleasant experience. They stayed for about 4 months, so spending the holidays all together was actually very, very nice. The day my brother and his family moved out, we had our first fight. Ding, ding, ding.
Which is okay.
So the plot thickens. No, yeah, which is okay. I also feel like these people you've grown close to for the past 4 months are leaving. That could just add
to, a stressful situation. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with fighting. It's how you fight.
No, it's how you fight. Yeah, but it sounds like this might be the first red flag. Later that week, we hang out with one of her friends. And she literally warns me that things are going to get interesting now that we will be alone full time. So Veronica's friend tells him
things are going to get interesting.
Like
what
a
the fuck
warning.
Does that mean?
And it's not coming from like a family member. You know how family members tend to be out of pocket and say weird shit? Like, my family always tells Travis, oh, Stephanie used to be crazy. To this day. Like, so annoying. Like, shut the fuck up.
You were crazy.
I'm still crazy. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, like, it's always like, oh, my God, Stephanie has changed so much. Like, all right, drop it. But it was her friend.
Yeah.
So that makes it, like, really weird. It was a red flag, but I sort of brushed it off. Veronica made it clear to me early on that her sex drive isn't too high. However, as time went on, it decreased more and more. And she was very honest about not liking to go down on guys. She did try a couple of times, but it wasn't enjoyable.
She said it was trash.
It was trash. Yo, not for nothing. I would never brag about, like, my fellatio skills. I think it's not one of my strong points.
That's good.
Be honest, babe.
It's good. It's good. It's
Is
not
that-
like, it's not gawk 1,000, but it's good.
It's like gawk
1,500.
1,500 on the discount show. Honestly, I feel like going down on you is very, like, it's... Travis is nervous. Like, it's not that I don't like it, but I feel like it's not like a every single time we have sex. Like, I feel like it's a very situational... What?
No.
Your face, what?
What I wanted to say is that when you say going down,
Oh,
We
go
have a
ahead. You can
joke.
tell that story. Tell that story.
we were, in one of our moods, and
What type of mood?
a sexual mood.
Okay.
And I said, real lusty, like, go down on me.
Oh, God.
And she said, please never say that again. She, would prefer if it's like, suck my dick or, but
It was like this sexual moment where I didn't want him to sound so like,
90s porno.
yeah, like, can you go down on me? Like, it kind of like, it didn't turn me off, but it was like, it would have turned me on more if you said, suck my dick, babe.
Bitch.
So I was like, oh, don't say that. See, communication. When you don't like something in the bedroom, just say it.
Yeah, and I've never said it again.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. You also don't really ask for head that much.
Put it by your face, and if it works, it works.
Okay. So she admitted to wanting my help learning how to be more sexual. His suggestion was, let's watch porn together, but she didn't like that suggestion either. So he recommends that she watches the porn independently. She doesn't like it.
We don't watch porn.
No, we don't watch porn
We've
together.
done it like, I could count on one hand.
And it hasn't been in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like years, like almost like 4 years when we lived at our old apartment over there.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't know if it did anything for you, but
I feel like it does. Like, it is kind of like theatrics, but I feel like a movie could make you cry even though you know it's fake. So a porno could like make you horny even though you know it's fake.
yeah. I'll occasionally watch porn by myself if I have,
Really? When's the last time you watched porn?
I don't know, it's been a while. But like if I have like a moment where I'm here, which is rare, if I'm in the apartment by myself, and like, I don't know how those thoughts come to your mind. You're like, oh, I got 30 minutes by myself.
Yeah. I've never been a porn watcher. Like, I remember in college, there was a time when like everyone was on Tumblr.
Okay.
And I literally will watch like little GIFs
Of people like doing crazy shit.
of like sex scene, like, somebody licking a vagina in loop or like penetration, but in loop, like not full on porns. And it did like turn me on. But here's another thing about me. I'm not like a masturbator. Like, I can't get into it.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. So watching porn alone was always like, okay, what's the point? But yeah, that's a whole nother episode. Next red flag. So we just talked about the wanting to like learn how to give head, but then not wanting to watch porn. Next red flag, she started to pressure me to find a job in Georgia. However, I still had a comfortable savings cushion and I was turning down jobs that were not paying enough. I did not want to settle for a job I was unhappy with. Plus, I was still contributing sufficiently in all areas of our lives. This is where I was like, because I know what it's like to be a woman and be like, you just here, not doing shit.
But he was financially stable. So I think that needs to be at the forefront of every doubt you have in your mind. If this person won, should we have issues saving? This person saved multiple thousands of dollars and was prepared to, he said it was for the Euro trip, but plans
more. Yeah, like he basically, this was like a year into the pandemic, and
so he was financially stable, and there was no rush for employment, and he was providing. He wasn't just like mooching off of her.
Yeah, but as a woman, I also could see like, I still have never seen what your work ethic is actually like. And knowing like, okay, the money is going to eventually run out.
Yeah. I also think in that case, you should give some grace. Like if, let's say he did reach a point where his money did run out. What he did at that point is how you should judge him. But while his money's up and he's helping with bills and stuff, let it be.
I also brought up the point that maybe the reason she was pressuring him to find a job was to give her confirmation that he wanted to stay there. Because it's like, in this space where you don't have an actual tie to be in Georgia, you could just pick up and leave.
Yeah, but that's not an easy thing to do, to go from New Jersey to Georgia.
Yeah.
That takes effort and planning and uprooting your life, whether or not family, friends. I mean, he was moving closer to his mom, but I'm sure he had a lot of
the rest of his family
relationships out here in on the East Coast, or I guess it's still in Jersey. So like that to me is like the ultimate sign that this person's serious. Or even when she said pack for a month and he's like, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I get it, of course. And who knows? We don't know what she was thinking. But I also, me, I'm always going to try to see what the woman is thinking and feeling and put my perspective as a woman into the situation.
As a man, you did nothing wrong, player.
Next red flag. Oh, they're piling up. She would pressure me to marry her and get her pregnant. Although I was very much in love with her, I was still not happy with the idea of staying in Georgia forever. However, he wanted to like relocate with her. It's not like he was like not sure of being with her, but he wasn't sure about staying in Georgia.
Are we going to gloss over the marriage and pregnancy?
No, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to talk about it. I also was still unemployed, so I thought we needed some more time before jumping into marriage and children. So yeah, what you got to say about the marriage and kids?
Marriage, I'm here for, because shit, we would have got married even sooner, given the chance, or given that we didn't have those few bumps in the road. So I know what that feels like, just being so in love and so in the moment, and just like what's next? Because it's like we moved in together. How else can I show the world that this is my person? Marriage. But pregnancy is like, that's a big deal.
See, this is where I gotta check Travis.
Why?
Because I feel like, one, marriage was so duh for us and easy because both of us equally, like, we never had a conversation where one of us was like, maybe we should wait. Ever. And we just were lucky in that sense that both of us wanted to be married to each other, Second, the reason kids was always like, let's wait, is because we had Eli.
That's true.
And knowing what everything it took financially, emotionally, time, raising a Eli, Terrible Twos. Terrible Twos was from like 6 months. Like, raising Eli was and is an experience. He's a special child. Like, he's amazing. And I look at him now and I'm in awe at how well-rounded he is, how he's able to interact with others. Because when he was younger, I was worried. Like, his behavior was off the charts. I was literally afraid that he wouldn't be able to have positive relationships with other people. Thankfully, all of that is gone. But it was very easy for us to be like, pump the brakes on kids. And you used to tell me that, like, I know we're married, we're moved in together. I feel like what's next? And you kind of wanted to have another child more than I did earlier on.
Yeah, it was more so a sign of the progression you're supposed to take. I put that in air quotes, as a newly married couple or just a new couple in general. So I just felt like, we're
like, what's next? Like, what are we
and also,
next?
if I'm being honest, it's that pressure of people saying like, I know they always preface this with like, I know Eli's your son. But you got to have your biological
shit's annoying as fuck
to understand what it's like to be a father. And to me, that would, I'm not a combative person, so I just like, oh yeah, But that shit would make me feel a way, because it's like I'm doing something that someone else won't. Right? I'm stepping into a role as a father, and I'm going, I'm here, I'm in it, and you couldn't tell me Eli's not my son. And you're saying the only difference for you to really understand is for you to put some semen in this woman and do it yourself. And then all of a sudden it's going to make your experience different or better.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, this isn't my experience. This isn't how I'm feeling. Like, I love this child as if he was my own,
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm okay, but it just breaks my heart because I don't ever want Eli to feel like, he's loved any less. And people are fucking annoying and rude. Like, even now, years later, we're having another kid, and we've gotten comments like, finally, like, you're finally having a kid. No, you've been a father for almost 7 years now. And it's hard not to get defensive when it comes to your kids, And there's already, like, I put a lot of pressure on myself as a mom to make sure he doesn't feel any less than, So then when people put their 2 cents in, when they don't do fucking shit for us, it's frustrating. And I love you so much, and I don't ever want you to feel like, because that piece is quote unquote missing, that you're not his father, But my first cry on the podcast, but it does trigger me, and I've dealt with it, and I know that it's something I have to deal with, and people are gonna say what they want to say, but I have to know our truth and like live with our truth and not worry about what people have to say.
Yeah. I tune out the noise, and I know how we feel. I know how we live our lives and how our family dynamic is. And that's all that matters to me. And although I wish I could bring people into our way of thinking, I can't control the narrative.
And I don't care what people think. Sometimes what I do care about, because sometimes it's just ignorance, right? Like, people who don't have common sense, or like, this unfiltered way of talking that they don't realize. And that I'm like, you know what? That's life. But then I do feel like sometimes it's coming from people who should know better.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, are people trying to throw a jab at me? Like, is the goal of this person to like hurt me?
Yeah. And even when I announced, or not announced, or even when I was like telling guy friends about River's coming, we're having a baby, and they're like, oh, congrats, now you're really gonna know what it's like now, and some of them would catch themselves. They're like, oh, you'll basically, I'll know that experience. Your belly's getting better. You're in the delivery room.
And that's something we can't deny, that now you get to experience that you never did.
But then they would kind of say things like, I know you're Eli's father, but it's going to be different. And like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it's not different. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would it be different? Why would the experience I'm going to have with River be any different than although it started at 1 year old with Eli, I'm going to love him just as much.
You're just going to have sleepless nights in the beginning.
If anything, I might dislike him more. You know, so
because he's gonna make my vagina out of commission for 6 weeks.
Exactly, and she's gonna have to learn how to give the Gawk 3000.
Oh my God. Let me watch some porn.
But I know we went off on a tangent, but for the record, I love you. I love my son, and I love River, my second son, and
I know that, like the pain that I get from talking about this, it has nothing to do with like me doubting you and your feelings towards our son. Eli adores you. And yeah, just know it's never because I doubt you or your feelings towards Eli, but it's more so the pressure I have on myself as a mom and making sure that Eli feels loved and cared for and fulfilled in life, you know, because a lot of women stay in shitty situations because they think it'll be for the best of their kid, or they do leave and then they're, you know, did I make the right choice? So it's all of that is more so to do with me as a mother, and the outside world triggers me, but I don't doubt you, not one bit. I love you more. All right, so back to
she wanted to get married and have babies. She wanted to
get married and have babies, right? One day she decides she's gonna quit her job and focus on her creativity and pursue entrepreneurship.
Okay,
that's like me. I just quit. Most people would be shocked by this, but I fully supported her. I even remodeled and redecorated her office, which only had 2 tables in it and no organization at all for her materials. Guess what? We're still not having sex.
Oh, no. Taking the paint off the wall.
So I start to become sexually frustrated. One day, she gave me a book about the 5 love languages. And me, being on my new work shit, I said, I don't need a book to tell me how to love you.
That's so passive aggressive.
What's passive aggressive?
The book. Read this and it'll fix our sex life. What the fuck? Talk to me. That'll fix our sex life.
Again, just being the voice of women over here. We don't know if maybe she did try to talk to him about it. If maybe she did say, I would like you to show me this more. I know in talking to him, he talked about how she received love as acts of service. So
turning a room into your creative place in your home is not an act of service?
It is, but it's not enough to sustain a relationship forever.
Yesterday, you got turned on when I knew how to get on the George W. a little faster than by bypassing the traffic.
What type of love language is that?
I don't know. Real nigga.
There was like traffic on the highway. We went to IKEA, and he's looking at the right. There's like an exit. He's like, I know a way around this. And in my head, I'm like, boy. But, you know, you got to let men do their thing sometimes, you know, for their egos. But then he really got us around the traffic and we made it to our destination in no time. And I was like, oh, damn, baby, you knew how to get around that? He goes, yeah. I was like, yeah, that shit turned me on. But all right. Yes. Again, you say it's passive aggressive. What do you mean? Here's a book. But maybe she tried talking to him and this was probably her step of like, okay, since you're not understanding me, take it from this like professional or this bestseller. Okay. I don't know. We don't know what happened. So he says, I don't need a book to tell me how to love you. I later found out I was wrong. I tried planning a romantic date and I got us a room at our favorite hotel. We ended up bringing the dog along with us. When I'm trying to get it on, she says no because Alizé is here. Yes, our dog's name is Alizé.
Do we have to read anymore?
What?
I'm done with her.
Why are you done with
What's
her?
What's her name?
Veronica.
Veronica, I'm done with you.
Why?
The fuck? So, I'm always connecting it to our stories. Mm-hmm. When I met you, you lived in a 2-bedroom with a roommate. Our crib for Eli was in our room. It was a pretty big room, so it was a good distance from a bed. We had a queen size bed. Mm-hmm. But if we wanted to get it in and Eli was sleeping, we were having sex.
Yeah, we're just not screaming.
We're not going to Pound Town. But we were still having sex. Yeah. So the fucking dog? If anything, give the dog the fucking phone to record.
I want to say something kind of nasty, but
oh boy,
you can't get mad.
Okay.
I remember I had sex with a guy once and his dog was literally like on my feet. Okay.
Licking your feet?
Not like licking my feet, but like I felt his dog by my feet.
I feel like I've heard a story of someone like a dog licking some guy's balls and he didn't, and he didn't like push them off.
Sounds like something Joe Budden would do.
Oh God.
Hold on, let me drink some water. But yeah, that shit was crazy. When I heard that, I was like, oh no, the dog, she wouldn't have sex. But that's how you know. She just didn't want to have sex with him because you make any excuse to just not have sex when you don't want to have sex.
Yeah, okay. Not looking good for you, Veronica.
Another time when I'm trying to initiate sex, she tells me, sex is not given, it's earned. I'm like, what the fuck? Is this boarding school? I regretfully say, this is why girls get cheated on.
Honestly, what? The way I feel right now, I'm not even mad at him for saying that shit because I'm hot right now and I wasn't even living this shit.
Yeah.
I can only imagine his frustration.
Yeah.
Is it the right thing to say? Hell no. Of course not. But I do know out of it's like almost like desperation. Like I'm trying to get through to you. Like why aren't what's not?
So you think getting through to you is by threatening you, by cheating on you?
No. I'm not saying what he said was right. I'm saying I'm trying to put myself in his mindset. That's all. It's absolutely wrong. Never say that.
Yeah.
Ever. But I do understand that things can be said in anger or frustration, and that's where he was at in that moment.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he should have invested more time in learning her love languages instead of feeling like it was a obligation.
We had an episode where we discussed our struggles with sex. Mm-hmm. But also, when we first got together, we were having a lot of sex.
Yeah.
All this, if I'm getting the dates correct, this is within a year span.
Yeah.
Or barely a year, if not a year. So, damn. Like, that's quick to go from, we go into Pound Town almost regularly to all of a sudden it just stops. And now it's just like.
And I also feel like she was honest about having a low sex drive. And I'm sure he was honest about enjoying sex. And I personally believe that two people with different types of sex drive could have a successful relationship. I actually have a friend who has openly admitted, like, that's the situation in her relationship. But she is aware of that and makes efforts to make sure that she's satisfying her man. And not in a way that it's obligatory or that it's like, I'm doing it just because I have to, but because she loves this man and he's a good man to her and it's important to him, she works on what she has to work on to find ways to be turned on more, spice things up. And she's aware of if has been a decline in their sex life. And I think that's healthy. Like it's not like he's like, we need to fuck. So then she feels pressured. It's more so an awareness that she has of her own sexual desires. And she works towards keeping her man happy.
No, yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. I feel drained from this story.
But I also feel like we're not in their shoes. This is the story that was given to us. Who knows? I don't know.
it's his perspective.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah, but
he's probably telling us how it is.
But we also need to acknowledge that it's his perspective.
And all the stories we get on Also Y'all Can Relate, they come from one person.
Yeah.
So we have to go based on their side.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about that. We get to have this conversation because you kind of try to stand up for the fellas. And I'm like, well, hold up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where am I? Sex is not given, it's earned. I'm like, what the fuck? Is this boarding school? And he tells her, this is why girls get cheated on. This leads to a huge fight. She walks away. I follow her. When she goes into the bedroom and attempts to close the door, I put my foot in the way to prevent her from closing it. You know I'm triggered. I don't like that shit. Yeah. So then she leaves the room, gets her keys, and gets into the car. I, of course, follow and get in the car as well. At the moment, all I wanted to do was repair the damage. I didn't want her to leave in the middle of a fight, which is understandable. She tells me, you're making me feel uncomfortable right now. If you don't get out of my car, I'm going to have to call someone.
Who?
I don't know, 911?
No, someone. There's a difference in saying I'm going to have to call the cops and someone. Because it sounded like she got like the goons on speed dial.
I don't know. I feel like maybe that's just the word she chose to be like, I don't feel safe.
Or like it was a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give her grace on that one.
Yeah. I feel like in the heat of a fight, I've spoke about this on this show. I don't like you getting a little bit aggressive, a little bit loud, because I instantly feel threatened. It's because of my past experiences. It's because of being a woman. And, you know, no matter what, if we got into a fight, I could never beat you. Yeah. You're way a lot more than I am. You're stronger than me. So I just avoid any escalation in our discussions. So I get it. And I'll be like, Travis, get the fuck out my face. So I get it. I was in complete disbelief at how quickly this escalated. So I leave the car and she drives off. This is where I gave him his props, because a lot of men don't know when it's time to stop, leave the situation. And as well-intended as they try to be and say like, I just know I don't want you to leave. Is that I'm sorry? Is that I want to explain? You got to give women their space once they don't feel safe. And no matter what you think about, but why wouldn't she feel safe in front of me? What did I do? We have to remember, men abuse women. You are stronger than the woman. And just the fact that she doesn't feel safe is enough. You don't need an explanation. Like, that's just it. Yeah. So I was very, very happy that he said, and he said it was hearing that like in his mind, he was just like, what the fuck? And he left. Which I applauded, because some men wouldn't. They'd be like, what the fuck you mean? What you gonna do? And they get even more threatening, which is what's fucking crazy. They think that's gonna help the situation. So he did leave the car, which I thought was great. She ended up suggesting I go to my brother's house for a couple of days until she can process what happened. While at my brother's house, I ended up in the hospital for what I thought was pulling a muscle at the gym. However, I actually gave myself a hernia and almost needed one of my testicles removed. Veronica was unfazed by this. The fight was still looming over her head, and she rarely spoke to me in the days I was at the hospital. This being Georgia, everyone has a Ring on their porch. So a Ring is like that camera, right?
The camera doorbell thing.
Okay. One day, I happened to hear Veronica tell her friend over the phone, this dude keeps calling me. He needs to just call me when he's better. Mm. So while he's at the hospital, through the Ring, he heard her tell a friend, like, basically,
he needs to leave me alone.
He needs to leave me alone, even though he's at the hospital.
Damn.
Yeah, that kind of stings. When I recovered, I took a few days to come to New Jersey and asked her if she's ready to have me back. She says no, she's still not over it. I start to notice that one of her male friends is coming over more frequently, and he even picks her up at times that she's usually ready for bed.
She's for the streets.
Stop.
It's done.
Yeah. When I got to this part, I was like, she's seeing someone else.
Okay.
But my question was, do you think she was seeing someone else before? Like, is that the reason the sex was going bad? And she was looking for a reason to end it?
It's possible, but it's just everything, like, if I'm not a detective, but if I was laying all the evidence out on the table, I would connect this moment to the sex or the lack of sex. Mm-hmm. There would be a red string.
It could also be that she really was done and just rebounding to like be done with him. Maybe it didn't start beforehand. Again, we don't know what happened. We don't even know if this male friend that's hanging out with her, if anything has happened. We don't know. We could only assume.
Y'all know how I feel about male friends. But.
I try to convince myself it's nothing, but then she lies about it. It's almost as if she forgot I have access to the ring on my phone. That fight happened around Memorial Weekend. It's now mid-June and I'm still not back home with her. She says it's not a breakup, but that she just needs time. While at home, I finally read the 5 Love Languages book. I read another book called The 5 Languages of Apology. But I guess it was too little, too late. Veronica ghosted me. The last time I heard from her was at the end of June. It's now October. I struggle with anxiety and the lack of closure was eating at me for the past several months. The fact that I'm sharing this with y'all is a huge step for me. I keep wondering what happened to make her decide to just ghost me. What if she calls me tomorrow and says, okay, I'm over it now? I know I could never take her back, but I really just want to have a conversation.
Wow. So it's going on 4 months.
Yeah, since Memorial Weekend. So since the end of May, since the fight happened, and since the end of June that she ghosted him. So July, August, September, October, almost 4 months.
Damn. But did he end with the question?
Just like, what should he do? Like in terms of what happens if she calls back?
I definitely think it's a wrap for that situation. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like there's so many signs or so many instances of a lack of respect. Because yes, they are not bound together. They're entitled to go their separate ways. If she no longer feels happy in the relationship, that's her prerogative. Mm-hmm. But what the lack of respect comes into place where she's not even giving him a conversation. There's no, this is why it's ending and I'm sorry, but it's not working out, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It's closure. And she just ghosting him is like the ultimate, it's like a slap in the face because now he mentioned he suffers from anxiety. It just lets your mind wanders.
Yeah.
I don't suffer from anxiety, but even that would fuck me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel my biggest like shock with it is that she was openly saying, let's get married, let's have kids. So someone you feel that way for to just ghost is kind of weird. But it also pushes me to think that whoever this guy was that was showing up that we were seeing on the ring, maybe they started dating.
Yeah.
Because like if you're dating someone else, a lot of the times your partner doesn't want you giving closure to your ex. You know, they're kind of like, fuck him. That's it. It's over.
Yeah. And it also makes me think it didn't just happen all of a sudden. Just based off of her thing she was saying, like, no, Alizé is here. Like, what? Mm-hmm. It sounds like, I hate to say it, but it sounds like they were having 2 different relationships. Like in his head, the relationship was going one way, and in her head, it was going another. Like even in the beginning when he was like, oh, so happy, I feel like she probably didn't feel that way.
But she was the one who said, come stay for a month. Why don't you move in? Your brother could stay here. So I feel like she must have really loved him and wanted a family with this guy.
Or maybe she wanted a family. You know, this person's around our age. We're getting up there in age. People are looking to settle down. People are questioning themselves. Why haven't I settled down? Why don't I have the things I see on social media? So I'm not saying she was using him, but I'm saying that it's like a perfect love story, right? We childhood love story, and now we reunited, and you know, we got married and started having kids.
And COVID, even though it's a tragedy, brought us together in a way.
So
let's just do it.
Obviously, I'm just guessing here, but I feel like maybe she wanted the idea of him more than actually him. The idea of a partner or children. And when shit started to get real, or, you know, she used what she viewed as red flags to kind of run. What was it? She took flight.
And based on this version of the story, the red flags to her were like, you haven't gotten a job here. Even though you say it's not a red flag because he was financially stable. But I'm like, maybe it wasn't about money. It was just about work ethic or grounding yourself here with me. Other than that, I don't really see like what else. But she handed him the love languages book. So clearly there was something she felt she was not receiving from him in terms of showing his love for her. I personally feel like she owes him. At this point, no. Honestly, I want him to be okay with not having closure. Just leave. Like, leave it in the past. And just let it be one of those things where it ended and you just are never going to know why, and that's okay.
Yeah, take it as a learning experience.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but one thing I'm big on and I praise are people who take that leap of faith, right? You move from Jersey to Georgia, that's a big step. It's might not be far like time, like on an airplane, but it's a big deal. Like uprooting your life for anyone, no matter the distance. It was a big deal for me to move from where I was at to the Bronx. It was even bigger deal for him to do it from state to state.
Yeah.
So my biggest hope is that this doesn't close you off from potentially doing something extravagant like that again.
Yeah.
Although it sucks, and I do wish he got this closure, don't let it stop you from moving to Mexico for the love of your life.
Yeah. Nuts. Crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap, babe.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel good. It's an emotional episode. I didn't think it was going to be this emotional.
Me neither. What the hell? That came out of nowhere.
I do hope that, you know, now that people know that we're open to having a conversation about their stories, that we'll get a few more submissions, you know, slide in our DMs, and, you know, we could set up something. I'm always down to have a conversation. Since we started this podcast, just hearing people's stories have been something we've been more open to and have interest in, and it's been fun. It's been therapeutic on both sides. So yeah. Let's continue having fun, baby.
Yes, let's keep doing the damn thing.
My love.
Yes.
Do you still like me?
I still like you, Daddy.
I love you.
I love you more. Bye.